In this video, I'm going to talk about the 5-minute routine that I swear fixed my shin splints permanently. Maybe they'll come up again later in life. It's possible, of course, nothing's permanent, but I also think this is a big part of why I don't get them anymore. When I first really started to get into running, I ran like 40 miles a week for a couple weeks and had shin splints, took several months off. And one thing I did was walk around in barefoot shoes. I think that definitely helped with a number of things, but I'm sure that was the start of a foundation that I needed with just stronger lower legs. But this routine I've been doing for about pretty much once a week for most of the last 2 years. There's been times I haven't done it, but I think I've done the right work that I don't have to do it as frequently, but I still like it. I think it's important to maintain, right? Lose it or what is it? Use it or lose it, right? Lose it or use it. So you use it or lose it, and so I keep doing this because I think it's good for me. And it's very simple. It's a superset. I do this on leg days. And one part of the superset is what I really think helps, but I also like throwing in the second part just for general strength. I think it's important. But basically what I do is a superset where I do tibialis curls and calf raises or some sort of calf exercise. And I typically start with calves and then do the tibialis curls, but either way, I don't think it makes that big of a difference. And I do about 3 or 4 sets of this, so maybe a little bit more than 5 minutes. You could probably get away with 2 or 3 sets. And so I think this has been a big part of what helped me. And it is also something I started doing when I had runner's knee, and that helped a lot. Also stretching. I think if you've been on this channel before, you've seen my videos. I'm constantly talking about stretching. I think you should do that, but that's not the point. What is the tibialis curl? So you think about a bicep curl, right? We hopefully all know what that is. If not, you're curling your bicep. With the tibialis curl, it's basically, the way I view it, is a very similar thing, where the best way I've found to do it is I get some sort of kettlebell, like 10 pounds, 12 pounds. I really don't think you need a lot. I'm sure you could work up the weight, but I'm looking for more repetition. And I get a kettlebell. And if this is my foot, here's my ankle, here's my tibialis muscle, up the leg, right? Also known as the shin muscle. I hook the kettlebell here, and I sit off of a box where like my calf is on the edge of it. I should make a video to demonstrate this, but you could YouTube. I've seen a lot of videos on this too. You could Google it. But I'm basically hanging off the bottom half of my leg for the most part, as kind of straight, but my knee's a little bent, and I'm just curling the kettlebell. You'll feel it up here, especially if you're light enough and you do 15 reps. Like, I feel a burn there more than I've never felt a burn like that with that muscle doing anything else, right? It's directly focusing on the tibialis, and it also is really good for ankle mobility. And I roll my ankles a ton on the trails. I think any trail runner has experienced this a ton. I've even rolled my ankle on the pavement. And so I think that also helps with injury risk reduction, or just preventing injuries and being stronger. And so it seems to help. And I do about 12-15 reps per set, then switch to calves, rest a little bit, then do the superset again. And I think calves are also good if you're a runner, right? We all know that, hopefully, too. So tibialis curls, I think, is a big part of why I don't get shin splints. I'm sure there's other reasons for it. For whatever reason, this didn't make sense in my head of, if you have shin splints, you need to take 6 months off. And I'm not saying you shouldn't take the 6 months off, but for me, I was always thinking, well, what was the root cause of it? And if I can figure out what the root cause was, well, let me fix that. And I hear a lot of people talk about it like there's kind of nothing you can do about it, and I just don't see it that way. And so if you have shin splints, take the time off to recover. I'm not saying you shouldn't. My point is, if you just objectively think rest is all I need to do, that probably works for a lot of situations. The point is what caused that to begin with. So if you fix that, then you don't run into that issue again. I believe shin splints can happen for a number of reasons when your tibialis muscle isn't strong enough. Maybe your running form is bad. I've also worked a lot on my form, and so trying to land more on my midfoot or front foot. A lot of people heel strike in running. I know I did for sure when I first started. And you think about your heel hitting the pavement, your tibialis muscle is getting and your knees are getting the direct impact of that. And so if you can land more on your front foot, you can propel off. And it's not as much like stopping force, just like, I don't know how to explain this, I'm no scientist, but kinesthetic energy just like compiling right here. It's more of momentum moving forward. So I think there's probably a lot to shin splints, but for sure to be working on my tibialis muscle has helped a lot. And I think if you do tibialis curls, it's just better overall. You become stronger. Even if you're not a heavy runner, it's cool when I see my tibialis muscles just start to get bigger, right? Anyone who likes muscle growth gets excited by bigger biceps or bigger back, and so to see my tibialis muscle grow is kind of interesting because I always felt like I had, stick legs. I've always been kind of a smaller, thinner guy, and so that's rewarding as well. So if you're not in it for the injury reduction, you'll probably look cooler if you do tibialis curls. So hopefully you got something out of this video. I don't wish injuries on anyone. I just think if you get an injury, you should think about what caused that originally. And I don't believe most of the time it's an overuse injury. I know those are common, it can happen, but I think a lot of times we just blame doing too much when I think we can be made to do more than we think if you do the right things. And that's been true in my life when it comes to running and fitness. So hope you got something out of this video and you can avoid those injuries or fix them if you have them. And I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.